guys, it's Lauren, and today I'm going to show you how to make a basic cake pop. My Halloween cake pop video got a ton of views. Thank you so much for everyone who watched. But for those of you that might be a little bit intimidated by the decorating part of it, I thought it might be nice to just have a basic cake pop video. So for starters, whenever you make cake pops, of course you're going to need some cake. It really doesn't matter what flavor of cake, but I usually do about a 9x13 pan. And of course you're going to need some frosting. I recommend a buttercream frosting because once we make our cake pop balls, we're actually going to stick them into the fridge so that they can harden a little bit. However, if you use a frosting that has a base like Crisco, they're not going to firm up when we put them in the fridge. And of course, you're going to need some candy melts. I chose turquoise because, as you can tell, turquoise is my favorite color, but you can really do whatever color you'd like. I really like the Wilton brand, but any sort of candy melt will do. And of course, it wouldn't be a cake pop unless it was on a stick. So you're going to need some lollipop sticks, and don't worry, I'll put a link to that on the blog and in the description. If you really want to get fancy, I recommend getting some cute sprinkles like these. I don't really love the taste of sprinkles, but I think it makes your cake pops look super cute. And for when we crumble our cake, I strongly recommend having a large bowl handy. I also like having a baking sheet with either parchment paper or wax paper. That way, when we roll out all of our cake pop balls, it's easy to stick in the fridge afterwards. Another item that you don't necessarily need to have, but I strongly recommend, is a Wilton candy melter. I like this because it's just a lot easier to keep your candy melts melted so that they don't harden up while you're trying to finish your cake pops. I also think having some sort of cake pop stand is really essential because that way, while your cake pop's drying, you can just stick it on your stand. Otherwise, you're gonna have to set it on the table or on a plate, and then you're not going to get the nice round edges. All right, once you have all of your essential ingredients and materials, let's get started. So for step number one, we're simply just going to cut up our sheet of cake and crumble it into our large bowl. Alright, and once all of your cake is super fine and crumbly like this, we're going to add our buttercream frosting. Now, unfortunately, I don't have an exact measurement of how much buttercream you should add because you really do just have to feel it. And I know people hate hearing that, but the best way to know that your cake pops are going to be perfect is that your cake and buttercream mixture is a Play-Doh-like consistency. So I know that's not the most perfect method, but it's the method that works for me. And basically, all you're trying to achieve is that your cake is easy to mold. But I will say, if you're really afraid you're going to screw it up, less is always more, so start with a couple of tablespoons and gradually go from there. Once you've achieved the desired consistency, we're going to roll all of our cake mixture into balls. Once all of your cake balls are rolled out, we're going to stick them in the fridge for 15 minutes. And while our cake balls sit in the fridge, we're going to melt down our candy melts. Also, just a little pro tip about the Wilton candy melter. There's 3 settings, so one is off, one is medium, and one is hot. So of course you're going to want to melt it on the hot setting, but then while you're dipping your cake pops or while you're not using it, you're going to want to turn it to medium or off. Otherwise, your candy melts could burn. Also, I forgot to mention it earlier, but if you don't have a Wilton candy melter, you can also melt your candy melts in your microwave at 30-second increments, or you can use a double boiler method. Now that our candy melts are all melted, we're going to take our cake pop sticks and we're going to put them into our cake balls. So basically all we're going to do is take our cake pop stick, we're going to dip it about 1 centimeter or so into our candy melts, then we're going to stick it halfway through our cake ball, and then we're just going to smooth off the excess. And now we're just going to stick our cake pops back in the fridge for another 15 minutes. Now we're going to dip and decorate our cake pops. So basically we're just going to take our cake pop and we are going to fully submerge it into our candy melts. And then in order to get rid of any excess candy melts that we might have, we're just going to lightly tap off the excess. And I say lightly because if you tap too hard, the cake ball might just fall off the stick. Also, if you end up having any little air bubbles, you can just pop them with your finger and then tap, tap, tap and then they'll smooth themselves out. Also, if you want the bottom to be really smooth, just kind of take your finger across there so that you get a nice smooth finish. And then pretty quickly after dipping, we're going to add some of our sprinkles. Now I have some bigger sprinkles in this mix, so the bigger ones you might want to wait until it hardens just a little bit, otherwise they might start slipping down the side of your cake pop. And there you have it, a super cute cake pop. Another pro tip that I thought was worth mentioning is that if you do happen to burn your candy melts and they're really hard and there's no way you're gonna be able to dip your cake pop into them, sometimes what works is if you put just a little bit of coconut oil in there, stir it around, and then it'll thin your candy melts back out. And there you have it, guys. That's how you make a basic cake pop. If you liked this video, make sure to give it the thumbs up and hit that subscribe button below. And as always, you can find more recipes and tutorials at hueeatswithyou.com. Don't forget to follow me at hueeatswithyou on Instagram. Also, if you have any questions, make sure to leave them below. Happy eating!